When you started, you were writing longhand?
I was writing longhand. I was writing uh, just free writing. Just absolutely free writing. I had taken um, I had taken one of the little non-credit courses at Penn, and I was like, my job wanted me to go back to school, and they were gonna pay, and I would look at these programs and just get a headache. It's like science writing and those kinds of things. It's like, and I said, okay, I want to take, it was a course of, being a more creative writer. And I said, it's just a little non-credit thing. I mean, I could have paid for it myself. It was very inexpensive. And they said, okay. And so I started by taking that. And one of the things that the instructor was a real proponent of free writing, and where you just give yourself a word and just write for whatever the allotted time is. It could be 10 minutes generally. And then that by doing that, the rules are that you don't cross out, you don't worry about spelling, punctuation, you don't worry about being illogical. You should be specific, and you should go for the jugular. If something feels threatening, that's where you should go. You should not back off. Just like go there, because that's where the real energy is, and the real honesty is, and the rawness of the writing. And just do that for 10 minutes. And when you do that, you accomplish two things. Number one, everyone says they don't have time, but everyone has 10 minutes. Number two, you shut down the internal critic. That voice that whenever you write a word, that's stupid, it doesn't make sense, that's bland, why are you writing that word? You haven't even spelled it right. I mean, that voice that just comes in and totally shuts down the process and tries to force us into a perfectionism mode that, you got to write the perfect sentence before you can go on. Not true. If you wait for the perfect sentence, you may never go on. Sometimes you just write. And so I would do that, just 10 minutes. And then I would, the more I did it, the more I realized I was describing this place. This, the images that would fall onto the page, I realized was my mother's time. And it's, wow, this is the neighborhood mommy described. The people, music, just flashes would fall onto the page. And when I would go back and reread some of the things, I could see what was going on. And so that's how I started, really, with the actual free writing. I think also starting with the free writing gave me the bent towards not outlining or not scripting. Now, at some point, it's good to know a little bit about what's going on or what the story is going to be about. But initially, that can also be paralyzing because you feel as though you have to know it all. And how can you know it all? I mean, we're in today, we're not in tomorrow. How can you know if a novel is going to take? It can take 2 years. It can take longer. And part of writing, as I've come to understand it, I mean, the goal of the writer is really to change the reader. And that cannot happen unless the writer also changes in the process. Something has to happen to change the writer. And so if you are writing something that can take 2 years, how can you know how it will end? How can you know what you'll be in 2 years? What you will have lived or experienced that will change the process. And therefore it then becomes counterproductive to try to script the story of what it will be. So then I like start, even now with my novels, I will start with a broad outline. Not an outline, just a broad general view of what it's about. The novel I'm working on now is set in 1890s on this quarantine facility outside of Philadelphia. And these people have come for a wedding. Two of the living staff are getting married. But then there's also a dead body that comes, and the body gets put in the basement without anybody knowing it, at the house where they're staying. So I know these kinds of things, and this guy comes looking for the body in the basement, not knowing that he's dead. And they're black people celebrating the wedding, and the guy is white. And so I'm writing, and I thought that it was about one of the women is like really fair, and I'm thinking she's gonna pass, because she's gonna fall for this white guy, and she's gonna pass. But then as I'm writing, I realize, no, he's gonna act like he's black to be with her. It's like I could not have. I have to write to get to that point. I could not have scripted that. And it's like once I realized this, oh, it's so exciting for that to happen. Like, oh no, they meet at this at this party, and it's like, and he's real attracted to her, and it's, oh no, he's gonna act black. And in the 1890s, that's more than a notion for a white man to act black. I mean, black folks were not like living at the best in the 1890s. So then I understand that this in fact did happen, that this real rich white guy in the late 1800s did in fact meet this woman, this black woman, marries her, doesn't tell anybody, but lives as a black man. And it's, gosh, that really happened. So like the imagination gets it right often. The imagination gets it right, and I've learned to trust that I will write about something that I know absolutely nothing about, and I will imagine it, and then when I go back and do the research, I'm amazed at how close my imagination has come to getting it right. So I just, I had given to that. I forgot what your question was, but
You're good.
Okay.